Yesterday, detention was talking to me, and he was telling me that he knows these, I guess, like leaders, right? Think of it like principals of a summer camp that's like a league-oriented summer camp in a way. At least that's the gist that he gave for me, right? And it's kids who plan on becoming better league players and shit like that, or something like that. And apparently, a lot of these kids look up to me for whatever reason. So a lot of them look up to me and they like me a lot. So the principal reached out to detention since he knew that he was friends with me. And he actually asked him if I could do a like 2 hour, I guess, like conference with the kids who are like 12 to 18, in which any questions that they have to ask me, they can ask me how to become better, stuff like that, and general advice and shit like that. So that's what we're gonna be doing for the next like 2 hours. Just because I thought it'd be like a cool thing. Their parents signed waivers and shit like that, so they are allowed being shown on stream as well. In case anybody was like, "Oh yeah, but are you allowed?" Yes, we have the permission from the parents and everything, so it should be chill. So they wanted you to give a conference, yeah, something like that. Fair warning: if any of you act weird, permabans. I mean, I think that's like a given. No acting weird, no flaming the kids, nothing like that. Okay. All right. Hello.
What's going on, man?
Yo, what's up? Just letting you know you're not muted on stream yet. So if you want me to mute you on stream, just let me know, okay?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, because Faith is prepping the campers right now.
Okay.
So we're just gonna go over some brief housekeeping type of stuff.
Okay, perfect.
For you guys.
Okay, perfect. Now we're good. All right.
All right. So, I mean, what this is, we are a youth development through esports program.
Okay.
And is that Faith?
No, it's Value.
Okay, it's Value. Awesome. So now we got all of you guys. So it's a youth development through esports program, and we partner with schools, and we tailor it to every school that we work with. So part of it is sometimes the school uses it as a like an after-school enriched program.
Okay.
But it's still with a curriculum that we have developed to teach them soft skills that they would normally learn through team sports. But basically, but through esports instead, because these are the kids that don't want to do it through regular traditional sports.
Yeah, okay.
Yo, you guys know motherfucking Doaenel?
So a lot of them, like I said, are brand new to League, and so we want the experience to be positive, uplifting, supporting, so on and so forth. And that's really the gist of it. The criticism, obviously, with us who have played League for years, we're a little bit more critical when somebody doesn't do something correctly, or they're not as easily to pick up on something. But we try to give them as many, as much support and encouragement as possible, even when they don't get any a concept as quickly as possible.
Yep.
But yeah, it's gonna be fun. The kids love it, absolutely love it, and they're super excited to meet you.
So, out of curiosity, like a lot of them know me?
Know of you, yeah. They've watched your stream. They know who you are. They know your jungling, your proactive jungling. No, they're really, really cool.
Okay, perfect.
And but we're changing the landscape of esports and trying to take the toxicity out of gaming, especially with just promoting sportsmanship and teamwork and camaraderie, communication, things like that, conflict resolution, things like that.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually like the funny thing though, is because a lot of people would think that I'm probably like a bad example, right? Because like the things I'll say on stream and stuff, but in game I'm actually extremely positive, and I always like look for positive like outlooks and shit like that. So I think I'd actually be a good fit for this too.
Also cursing.
Yeah, I mean,
again, these are kids between the ages of 12 and 18, so we're trying to keep the swearing and the inappropriate like aspects of it as minimal as possible.
Yeah, no worry.
if something slips, I understand. I'm the same way actually when I'm talking to them. I'm 35 years old, and a lot of the stuff that is politically correct now, or cancel culture right now is not stuff that I would have dealt with when I was younger. So
exactly.
Because one of the things I was thinking might be a viable answer as well is maybe doing like a VOD review afterwards with the kids who wanted to specifically ask
jungle.
questions as well. Yeah, because there were a couple kids who had a lot of questions about jungle.
Yeah, well,
yesterday.
so that's why the beauty of jungle is that the way that you actually learn jungling isn't normally through actual like VOD review and stuff like that, because VOD review is only really gonna help you if you so like this is like from what I learned. You'll learn as much from a VOD review as you will just like playing more jungle games, right? But when you're actually talking to a coach, what he should do is most of the time just like teach concepts and theories, right? Put like specific like things out, and then if the kids have any kind of like specific questions, like what happens if I get invaded, right? So stuff like that. In cases like that, then you can be like, okay, well, you can give pointers on that. But I don't know, the jungle role I feel is just too hyper specific to be like VOD reviewed meaningfully unless you have like 10 games like VOD review over.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the best
No, I-
players are like some of the people that watch the most VODs, from what I know in pro play. Jungle is like the role where VODs actually matter the most because of how intricate pathing can be.
Yes, exactly. But so VODs matter if you can have like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 like VOD reviews. Does that make sense? But if you're just going to have like one VOD review, it doesn't really do much for you. You're better off just learning like a concept and then spamming games.
Yeah, you're talking about like consistency of the pathing or consistency of the clear.
Yeah, just because
timings.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll explain this to the kids, right? But I could actually give an entire lecture on jungle, by the way. But the cool thing about jungle is that the entire skill expression of jungle in general has to do with malleability and has to do with like assessing what's going on and then changing your game plan depending, right? So that's why if you just have a single VOD review, then the problem with that is that it's like one path out of like the millions of paths. You see what I'm getting at? That's the reason why I like teaching concepts better, because it's like way, way, way better. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm more, like, because I like going on rants, you know? So I would be down to just, like, go on, like, a half-hour rant about jungle in general, you know? Like, like, literally just get all the kids that want to learn jungle, bring them in a call, and then I'll just sit there and I'll go on a rant about what jungle is and everything like that. They can just, like, note everything down or whatever they want to do, and it should actually help them a lot. Yo.
Okay, the kids are all ready. So we'll do the scrim. I want to do a quick intro so you can meet the kids first, and we'll just say hi. Then we'll split you guys into groups. We'll do the scrim, and then Dante's Q&A separately.
All right.
Are you guys in the server?
No.
Oh, let's get you guys an invite.
Okay. No analogies, dude. I won't make like insane analogies, but it's like I can still make analogies that are PG analogies, bro. Like I'm not like I'm chill when it comes to that.
Okay, so we only have a limited time, so let's split into the scrims. Thank you guys again so much for doing this. So team 1, I'm gonna list out the teams. The Kohi, top lane, jungle, Sunshine Blue, mid, King, ADC value, so that's on blue team. Support, Capture 0. And then so you guys can head to class with the blue square. And then the red square, Barkhorn Kilo top lane, Pengo, Detention, Froggy Bunwitch, and Potatoes are cool. And Teo and I will be watching. We'll be specking. Sounds good? And then everyone else stays with Dante. And then we'll rotate the crews.
Are you guys the people that I'm giving the, I guess, like jungle introduction to?
And general overall Q&A, I believe.
Okay. So do you guys have any like questions first of all? Because I can like, if you want, what we can do is if you guys have any questions, you can just ask me right away. And then after I can kind of like go into an explanation of like jungle if you actually want to learn, or we can just like a Q&A the entire time. It's up to you.
I don't really mind, to be honest.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, do any of you guys have any questions then? Like that you want to start off with?
Why play Hecarim?
Why Hecarim? Okay.
I don't
So-
want champs.
Okay, yeah. So the cool thing is there are two types of champions in League, right? You're gonna have champions that have like mechanical expression through their combos, right? So think champions like Riven, think champions like even Aurelia, right? Champions like Kiana, these kinds of champs. But then you have a different kind of a subset of champions where it's more so like skill expression through your movements, right? So kind of like these global mechanics, like dodging abilities, right? Spacing between enemies, all these kinds of things. And the cool thing about Hecarim is that even though he doesn't have any really crazy combos, he kind of like perfectly embodies that whole like movement, right? And the thing about me, right, is that I always like the idea of like being graceful, like dodging abilities, doing all that kind of stuff. So Hecarim just like allows me to do that.
Did you ever OTP anyone else before Hecarim? Or was it just always Hecarim?
Yeah, so my story was I started in season 4. That's when I was around 12. And back then I used to actually play a lot of Fiora top lane. But then in season 5, they reworked Fiora. And when they reworked Fiora, I just said, okay, I'm going to start playing, I guess, like Gnar. And then I moved on to Jinx as well, like Jinx ADC, Gnar top. So I was still like kind of playing every role and everything. And then in season 6, that's when I first started playing Hecarim, because I started getting into like jungle more and more. And I was like, you know what? What's this champion? So then season 6 is when I started playing Hecarim. And then season 7 is when I started to like really like one-trick it and actually commit to the jungle role.
Makes sense.
Let's go.
All right. So wait, are you guys all junglers here, by the way?
No.
No.
I'm a
I
Draven
am.
player.
So
We have a few
have
junglers here.
we have two main jungle mains, I guess you would say here.
Okay.
Overtries and Shopi are both junglers for their respective teams within the program.
Okay.
So
Danny also does play jungle as well, just to a
Yeah.
lesser extent.
Danny's more of a fill player. He can play whatever the team needs him to play. But on our open gyms and through practices, it's mostly Overtries and Shopi.
Okay. So like what I can do is, because right now I kind of want to like go into something, right? So do you guys want me to kind of explain League as a whole and what the game kind of like requires you as a player? Or would you rather I give you advice on how to actually climb? Because I can do like one of the two. So do you guys want to learn how to climb, or do you guys want to learn the actual like game itself and what you need to do to get better at the game?
I honestly prefer like the grind because yeah, you're kind of known for your mental fortitude through the grind.
Very
So
true.
Yeah.
Who else can play 20 hours a day?
yeah, true.
Okay. So anyways, okay, I'll give you guys the rundown. I need to sign up for this though, so you guys bear with me, okay?
Mhm.
So the number one thing that you can do as a player, if you actually want to improve, is always gaslight yourself, right? So for you guys that might not know what gaslighting is, it just means like altering your version of reality. And when it comes to League, what you always want to do is make it so that everything is your fault. Always. Never sit there, never say it's my team's fault, never say it's my mid laner's fault for not rotating, it's my DC's fault for dying before the fight, right? Always find a way that it can be your fault. And if there's no way that you can find a situation to be your fault, then make one up. Be like, well, it's my fault for relying on my 12 kill ADC to not die to the enemy nexus, right? You see what I mean? Like stuff like that. And the reason why this is such a good mindset to have is because when it comes to a game like League, every single time you're going to queue up, you're going to have different players, right? Every time. So if you can sit there and every single time find one thing wrong with your gameplay, then what you can actually do is you can make it so that over the course of months or even years, by finding one thing wrong with your gameplay every single time, you eventually come to a point where you perfect your gameplay. Because let's say you chase a kill, right? You die. Well, then you say, next time I won't be as greedy, right? Let's say you want to go for the next cannon in the wave. You stay and then get ganked by the enemy jungler. Well, then you can say, I'm not going to overstay with low HP. And then these are little things that you can pick up on, right? That over the course of time, it makes it so that your gameplay becomes perfected to a level where now you don't make those same mistakes. And because you're not making those same mistakes, you're able to actually improve. A lot of the time, and you'll notice this with streamers, right? Like, do you guys all watch streamers or YouTubers here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Quite a bit.
So would you guys be able to think of a streamer or a YouTuber that used to be really good at the game, but now they're not and they blame their teammates every game? Like, you don't have to name them, but could you think of one?
Absolutely.
Probably, yeah.
Yep, okay. So this is what I'm trying to get at. The reason why these people went from being the best, right? They went from being challenger, rank 1, top 10, and now they're struggling in like diamond, right? And they're blaming their team every game, is because they developed a loser's mentality. That's what it is. And because they sit there and now they're always looking for the fault in their teammates, then it makes it so that over time, instead of finding mistakes in your own gameplay and having your skill level go like this, right? You're just always doing this and you're going down. Okay. So that's the best way that you could like think of it, right? You always need to sit there and you always need to find ways that games are your fault, because if you're not and you're saying it's my teammate's fault, how does that help you improve? How does it help you improve to say, yeah, this guy inted or this guy trolled, right? It doesn't. So that's why you always need to look for things. And with me, right, I've noticed times in my life where I would sit there and I would have this like winner's mentality saying, I need to not make mistakes, and if I do, then every loss is my fault, right? And I could literally be 20 kills, 1 death, but if that 1 death I had was because I greeted for a kill, I'll say the game is my fault, even if my top laner went AFK at level 1. So that's why you always have to preserve like the best mentality, and that is the #1 trick for improving as a player, for climbing, for even getting better in a team environment, is just always having the right mentality that allows you to improve.
No, I think that's good.
Yeah, it makes sense, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you guys have any things that you want to ask then? Maybe like problems that you might have with League, things that you think makes it difficult for you to climb that you'd want more like clarity on, ask my advice on?
I did have a question.
Yep.
I sort of get into like mental gymnastics or whatever when I'm like losing LP and stuff, because I think like a lost game is like a lost hour because I lose the LP from that game and I have to win it back with another game and I'm back to where I started.
Yes.
Like, do I even need to think about that, or is it just like think ahead?
So that's actually the reason why losses in League always feel so much worse than winning feels good. Because when you win, you go up 20 LP. But when you lose, you go down 20 LP and you also lose the potential 20 LP you could have gotten. So it's like you lost 40 LP, right? What you have to do, and this is the most important thing as well, is you need to understand that your rank doesn't actually matter, right? Because what is rank? Rank is a reflection of skill, right? Your rank, if you're a challenger, it's saying I'm a challenger level player. If I'm diamond, I am a diamond level player. Platinum, I'm a platinum level player. By putting an overemphasis on the physical representation of your rank, by saying, oh, I'm diamond or I'm platinum or I'm masters or I'm like bronze or silver, you're actually not looking at the root cause, which is your level of skill. So whether you win a game or you lose a game, your mentality should always be, I want to improve from that game, whether it had been a win or a loss, right? And when you have that mentality of improving, then the beauty of it is that over time, your rank will go up no matter what, because you're getting better and your physical representation follows your actual level of skill. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So that's why it's like you need to sit there and you need to be in a mental state where you're saying, you know what, even if I lose and I lost an hour, no, I didn't. Because from that game, I learned not to overchase. I learned not to, let's say, smite my bot laner's cannon and have a mint, right? I learned to do all these things. And by learning to do all these things, it makes it so that the next time you queue up, you're not going to make those same mistakes. And in a week, you'll be a higher rank. In a month, you'll be an entire division higher. And then in a year, you'll be like, way higher, because you're always looking for things that you can improve on.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
My problem is like I want to get to my rank now, but yeah, I guess that's not
so
the best
listen,
way of thinking.
Yeah, okay, no, but listen, I mean, I won't get into it, but that's a problem with society. You know what I mean? And this whole like instant gratification, instant validation thing, where you want to sit there and you want to say like, no, but I want diamond now. But it's like, why do you want diamond, right? Diamond, to be diamond or to be masters or to be challenger is to say you're a challenger level, diamond level, masters level player. So even if you don't have that rank right now, if you're always working on the steps towards improving it, then eventually you will get to the point where you are at that rank. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yep.
I was going to say that's one of the things that we focus a lot in the curriculum as well, is making sure that the fundamentals of playing the game and the concepts, the game theory behind why you would be able to rank up are the first and foremost and consistent, consistent thing that we're going to be focusing on through the classes, right? Like the wave management, the rotations, and things like itemization, for instance, makes a huge difference, but it's so situational that game to game, you're going to be building one thing or another based on the enemy team comp, right? Yep. And how you draft and picking a champ. I mean, for sometimes like when you're a champ that can fit in most, or if not every team comp, then it's okay to pick that champ every time. But a lot of the time when you're drafting, especially in a 5v5 scenario versus just a solo climb, you're looking at, when you're drafting, picking a specific champion that synergizes with everyone else.
I would like to note that the big thing that you guys have to understand too is that when you're playing 5v5 League, it is completely different, right? Completely different from solo queue. And the reason why is because in solo queue, what is the main way that you win, right? Does anybody know? What is the main way that you win in solo queue?
Snowballing?
Okay, how do you snowball?
I'll play
Stealing
them.
or taking kills.
Yeah, take all the kills, take all the spike cannons.
No, yeah, so you guys are right. But what it comes down to is you're getting kills because the enemy is making mistakes, right? The enemy is overextending, you're getting a kill. The enemy is going for bad trade, you're getting a kill, right? The enemy goes for bad gank, bad tower dive, you get a kill. So in solo queue, the way that you win is by abusing mistakes. It's by finding mistakes within the enemy's gameplay and then capitalizing off of that and getting enough of gold leads to make it so that now you can win the game. Pro play is a bit different because when people are 5v5 on voice and they're tryharding and all this kind of stuff, then they aren't really making as many mistakes. So that's why playing pro play, instead of winning by the enemy making mistakes, a lot of the time you win through better coordination. Which team is organizing more 4-man dive bots? Which team is setting up Dragon faster, right? Which team is setting up Baron? These kinds of things. These are what dictate pro matches. So that is the reason why having, I guess, like a diverse champ pool is so important in pro play, because in solo queue, right, I can queue up and play Hecarim every game, and I'll sit here and I'll body all these like LCK, LPL pros, right? And I'll sit here and I'll just like climb with like 20 kills every game and go insane. Would I be able to do the same in pro play? Nope. Because when I'm in pro play, I can't get those same like kills. I can't get those same like 1v2 on the enemy overextending, right? So that's why you do have to understand that like solo queue and pro play are two completely different things. And just because you can find like, let's say 1 or 2 champions that you really, really, really like in solo queue doesn't mean that that translates to like pro level skill necessarily. But the cool thing is that a lot of the players that actually end up becoming really good pros start off as one tricks in solo queue. Because, so this is like a recommendation that I would have that maybe your coaches might disagree with, but something that I've always said is that one tricking in solo queue is the best thing. Because when you get to a point where you are completely familiar with your champion's mechanics and how it works, then that's when you can start really learning the game. Because you don't have to sit there and you don't have to say, okay, what does this ability do? How does this ability interact with this one? What is my damage output? What is my damage level, right? You can just sit there and know all of this intuitively, which allows you to focus more on like the macro aspects. That's the reason why some of the best pros in the world all start off as solo queue one tricks, because they got to a point where they were so good with their champion that they were able to understand the game. And then all they have to do is just get a little mechanically better at a few guys. But with that game understanding, they're good, right?
I think you're explaining it pretty well.
Agreed.
I have a question, but it's a little bit of a sidetrack, I guess.
Yep, what's up?
I'm just wondering, like, your thought process in game while you're pathing and while you're jungling, and how you know when you can take certain opportunities, like going for invades and
Okay,
etc.
so yeah, no, what we're saying is really good. So this is a big thing. Are you talking about from like a solo queue setting, right? Not pro?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. So the cool thing is that in pro play, right? So you have to understand one thing when it comes to being a jungler, right? In pro play, a jungler is never the carry. This is the reason why most of the times pro players will always play these like tank engaged champions or these like low resource champs. Whereas in solo queue, you can be the carry. Because it's that whole thing about abusing mistakes, right? In solo queue, I can find enemy ADCs that are pushing with like a 1k shutdown. In pro play, I won't. So I can get shutdowns. I can get gold leads in solo queue that I wouldn't be able to get in pro play, which makes me a carry in solo queue, but not a carry in pro play, right? How do I dictate my pathing? Well, it's a few things. So the first thing is you need a path to maximize your the amount of resources that you're going to gain, right? Imagine that I'm playing Hecarim and my ult's coming up in 20 seconds, and I know that the enemy bot lane is going to keep pushing up, right? Then I might say, you know what? Let me go bot right now. My ult's going to be up soon, and I'll see if I can pick up that shutdown, right? Instead of going for like a full clear. Or let's say I'm there, and I have like a 5-kill lead on the enemy jungler, and I know that his blue buff is respawning, then that's when I might say, okay, let me sit there and let me go for an invade on him, right? And that kind of stuff. So the thing about jungling, right, is that jungling is by far the role that requires the most in-game, I guess, like diversity, right? Because you have to sit there and you have to be able to assess everything that's given to you. You need to be able to assess the 3 wave states, right? The relative strength of every champion. You need to assess item power spikes. You need to be able to assess what champions will offer you. You need to assess what is the enemy team doing, right? Where is the enemy team going? All these kinds of things. So that's the reason why saying like, how are you supposed to path as a jungler? It's a question that I can't really answer, because when you get to the highest level of jungling, you come to realize that every single game is different. And because every single game is different, every single game requires a different set of, I guess, like pathing options for you to actually be able to win, right? Instead of asking, what is the best pathing as a jungler, right? Or how should I path in solo queue? What you instead should be asking is, how do I get better at knowing how to path, right? And the answer is spamming games, right? Always spamming games. So the cool thing is that when you're there and you play like 10, 20 games a day, or even like if you're me and you're psychotic, right? You're going to play 30 games a day, then you're able to sit there and make so many mistakes throughout the day that every single day you can sit there and realize, okay, that was a bad idea. That was a good idea. And then by being able to assess all these things, right, over the course of time, it just makes it so that you kind of have all of this like accumulation of knowledge, right? Of matchup knowledge, of all these kinds of like knowledge on wave states, all these kinds of things, right? So playing jungle, getting better at it, right? If you're not going to have a coach that's going to sit there and literally watch like 10, 20 games straight, right? Because like with me, I would have Tarzan sit and call with me for like 20, 30 games straight, right? If you don't have access to that, then the best thing you can do is just play a lot of games. Play a lot of games. When you die, ask yourself, why did I die, right? When you sit there, maybe even look at your own VODs, right? Look at your own VODs. Try to watch like higher level players. See the things they do in their games. Try to pick up on it. Are they dropping a camp to go for the shutdown? Are they dropping a camp to go for the fight? Are they sitting there skipping their 3 bot side camps to do dragon because they see the enemy jungler top lane? It really is. You have to be able to be very, very, very open to new ideas to become a very good jungler, which is why it's very hard for me to be like, okay, yeah, you know, like just do this, just path this way. But I mean, in solo queue, always, full clearing is the most consistent thing you can do. Because if you're full clearing, it means that you're always getting gold and you're never relying on your teammates. So that's the reason why I think that, especially in low reloads, playing junglers like Hecarim, right? Junglers like Kayn, stuff like that. If you're able to just farm and you're able to be mechanically good enough to carry team fights once you get 2-3 items, that's normally the best approach to like climbing, especially in low reload.
And that could be a great transition as well into team fights and positioning and thought process on targeting when you're going into team fights. Because Donnie, I know that you had, or sorry, Overtries, I know that you had a good question about team fights when you were jungling the other day. So Overtries has been practicing a lot on like Sejuani and Zac,
Yep.
A lot of tank junglers, frontline junglers.
Yep.
And he was talking about like not necessarily knowing the focus on like to be the engage or to be more peel, and situational versus every situation can be different in that sense.
Okay, I can actually like dumb it down from then. Yeah, so yeah. I can. Okay, so the dumbed down like explanation that I would give, right? Because that's a question a lot of people have, which is like, how do I know who to focus, right? How do I know when to go in, all that kind of stuff. You just ask yourself, how are team fights won? Right? How are team fights won? Imagine the enemy team doesn't have anybody that can get onto your backline. They don't have assassins, they don't have champions with dashes, they don't have any of this stuff. And you have like a 10-kill Kai'Sa, right? Then how are you going to win that game? You play peel. You play front to back because you already know they can't get on Kai'Sa. So if you just make it so you're this wall in between your Kai'Sa and the enemy, you're good, right? Versus, imagine your Kai'Sa's 1 in 5 And now you're there, you're like, okay, well, my Kai'Sa's inting, so I don't really have an opportunity to do something, but my Jax is very fed. Then in a situation like that, you might say, you know what? I'm going to look for a hard engage on the enemy's backline, right? I'll look to Ian as Zac, or I'll look to Alton as Sejuani, and set my Jax up for a position where now he can get in the fight. So it's about asking yourself, what is the way that we win every fight? How do the enemy champions interact with ours? And depending on these things, who is my highest priority of focus, right? So that's like the main, I guess, way of looking at it.
Does that help, Overchoice?
Yeah, sorry, I'm moving around a lot. A lot of people in the house right now. Sorry.
There's Sean. But does that like answer your question, or do you have like a follow-up to that?
Thank you.
Yeah, I got you. You guys have any other things you want to ask? Anything like that that you're like curious about?
I did have a question. It's not like too related. But what is like your goal with League? Like, are you gonna play League for like 2 more decades, or is there like a point where like you reach rank 1 and you're like, okay, I'm done, or whatever?
Okay, so a lot of people actually ask me that. So my thing is, I've always had an obsession with like being the best, right? And that's one of the reasons why I've always wanted to like, I guess, prove myself, and rank 1 was just a way of me proving myself, right? But if I were to sit there and if I were like, my real goal with League, right? My real goal with League is to make it so that I have the most entertaining story possible for my viewers, right? That's what it comes down to. And right now I can have that entertaining story by going for rank 1 Korea and then going for like rank 1 NA EU, right? Next season going to Brazil, all these kinds of things. But if it ever gets to a point with League where I feel like, okay, I've kind of done what needs to be done, then maybe I would look more into getting into like variety, right? Or like different games, stuff like that. So with League, it's always been about like becoming the best. But ever since becoming a streamer, then you also have to keep in mind too, it's like, okay, well, I also want to become the best streamer, right? But once you hit rank 1 every region, once you do all these kinds of things, then at that point, is there really anything that you can really do with the game? Not really. That's why people like TF Blade, right? It's almost like they've completed the game, you know? Like they sit there and what is there more for a guy like TF Blade to do that can just like get top 10 whenever he wants, right? So that's why I'm hoping, unironically, I'm hoping that I don't have any, I guess, like anytime soon where I feel like I have to move on because I still really love the game. But I think I'm definitely set with League for the next at least like 2 to 3 years for sure, of just like consistent grinding, and then after that I'll kind of like see where life takes me.
Is pro play ever in the cards, or just solo queue?
So, like, I know that a lot of you guys might be aspiring pros, right? So I don't want to like dissuade you from it, right? But the thing about me is that I like my freedom a lot, right? I like being able to wake up and say, today I want to do what I want to do. And I mean, that sounds kind of weird because I play League 20 hours a day, but that's because I want to play League 20 hours a day. And the thing about pro play, and the reason why it doesn't really appeal to me, is because pro play is a lot of analysis, right? It's a lot of sitting there and talking, VOD reviewing, all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of people think that pro play is just, oh, play solo queue for a few hours, then do a few scrims, and then once a week you get to go and like play on stage and have a bunch of fans. That's not really the case. The way it really is you sit there, you have to VOD review for hours and hours and hours, team discussions for hours and hours and hours, then solo queue to get even better. And this is like every day. I think they have like 1 day off, right? And then after that, it's the whole thing of like, well, then you have to go, you have to perform, you have to play and do all that stuff. So for me, unless I were to become literally like the best like jungler ever, and for one split, I would just say, you know what? It'd be really funny if for one split I just go pro and see what happens and see if I can like go to worlds or see if I fail miserably. Like that might be something I do for content if it ever gets to that point. But is my ambition to like win worlds? Not really. I'm content with solo queue.
So there's no celebratory Pioshik Hecarim dance in your future?
I mean, but so like that's the thing is that the cool thing is that with the following I have, if one day I were to want to do like a split, right, then I feel like I could pretty easily find a team who would be like, you know what, we'll bring you on, you know, and then just kind of like troll around and see what happens. So maybe that's something I would do one day. Just for fun, you know, like to say, you know, I was the guy who started off as like a diamond player with like no viewers, right? no one really watched me or anything. And then nowadays I'm like doing a pro split just for fun, right? You know, it's something that could be interesting, but we'll kind of just have to like see what happens.
Imagine getting your own Hecarim skin after winning Worlds. That'd be pretty cool,
Oh
no?
god. Yeah. Dude, that'd be sick actually. My own Hecarim skin, and then it's like there's a little Lulu on the back, you know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
If you were to get a skin, it'd be like not Udi or Draven though.
Yeah, something more like troll or meme.
Hmm.
So, do you guys have anything else? I mean, if any of you guys are like interested in even like streaming, do you guys have any questions on that stuff like that, or are you guys like just more so really into League for League itself, and you're just looking to like go pro or like see what happens with that?
I mean, I know for me it depends. I've done some streaming in the past, but like honestly, League is just getting the game, getting myself to a level in League where I can be successful is more important than content.
Yeah.
I've been trying to stream for about a year, and I think I at this point I'm kind of lost at exactly what to improve on because
as a streamer,
because I can't seem to get like viewer retention. I can get people in, but like I can't get them to stick. And
do you watch your VODs?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Not all the time.
So when I was first streaming, right, one of the things that I would do always is I would watch my VODs. I would stream for about like 8 to 10 hours, and then after, I would just watch my VOD for like 2 hours and see, is my stream entertaining? Because think of streaming like almost like you're in a talking stage with a girl, right? If you're her best option, she's going to talk to you over every other guy, right? It's the same thing as a streamer. If you're a streamer and you're the most entertaining option, people are going to want to watch you over whoever else they're following, right? So that's why if you're not retaining the viewers, it just means that you don't have something, or you don't have enough of something that makes it so that people are like, oh yeah, I really want to watch this guy today. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, is there something you're going to say, Teo?
Oh, so we also had Tylo just come in, who's one of our other students, and he wanted to ask some questions and get some advice. Dante's as well.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
So what's like the general way to get better?
Spamming games. That's what it always comes down to. Spamming games.
What?
Yep. Just like playing as many games as possible. So when I first
Okay.
started League in
makes sense.
season, when I first started like League in season 4, I was bronze 50 LP, which was the lowest rank that you could possibly be. And every single day I would get home from school, and from 2:15 until 10 to 11 p.m., I would just be playing League always. I'm not recommending you guys do this, but I didn't like do my homework, I didn't study, I didn't do anything, right? The only assignments I would do would be the graded ones, and then besides that, I would just be playing League always. So I did that over the course of years until I got to a point where I became at the level I was, but the way I did was just by like playing a lot of games.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
One of the things that we do have is that ties into the academics because, like you said, you wouldn't suggest people only play League, but one of the things that we do is, especially now that we have the EKUSO academic rewards program, the students get rewarded for doing their homework, where they get additional one-on-one hours on coaching, VOD reviews, RP cards, things like that, for doing their homework and for doing well in school. And to be on the competitive side, they have to maintain a specific GPA or higher as well. It's just like on a traditional sports team. As far as the just playing is concerned, is there someone that you specifically looked up to, or did you do a lot of watching pro players or other prolific streamers that were good at the game already that helped you improve like the style of your play more so than just playing the game?
The thing about me is before I actually became a streamer, I wasn't into the streaming or YouTube scene at all. So I was like a complete normie. Like I didn't even, like I would watch Tyler 1 as a streamer, but that was about it, right? Tyler 1 or Rada or L, whenever they would go live. But I wasn't on Twitch for a long time. I would never really watch YouTube videos either. The most I would watch, I don't know if you guys remember this, you'd have to be like really, really old, but it would be the like Potato Monster, like Pentakill montages or all that kind of stuff, right? So I would always just kind of like stick to the game. Like, I never really watched better players. I never really had any, I guess, like, idols or inspirations. And that might be one of the reasons why it took me as long as it did for me to improve. Because I was kind of like aimless, right? But yeah, for me personally, I never really had anything like that. So, I mean, that might be why it took me like 15,000 hours to get to where I am nowadays. Maybe I would have gotten here way sooner had I had like, oh yeah, this guy's really good. Let me watch his gameplay.
And Donnie and Overtries and Shopee, I definitely want to get any questions that you guys have out right now, specifically because you guys are jungle mains and Dante's is, I mean, challenger Hecarim and challenger, I mean, jungle in specific, and he coaches on jungle pathing and and how to gank and all of that stuff. So any questions that you have?
Well, actually, what position do you play in League often?
Me?
Yeah.
I play jungle. I play a lot of Hecarim.
And any advice on how to gank?
So, ganking, it's very champion specific, but a lot of the time you have like a few different types of ganks you can do, okay? The first is a lane gank. So this is if the enemy team is pushing up, or if your team is pushing up, and you don't have a way of entering the lane anywhere through the river or anything like that. So what you do is you enter through the lane, through a bush, and you sit there and you wait until the enemy walks up, and then you kill them. That's the first one. So if your team is pushed up, lane gank. If it is a neutral lane and both sides are like even, or if the enemy is pushing up, then that's when you can go for the river gank, right? That's when you come in through the river, right? And you look for a gank through there. So if your team is pushed up, lane gank. If the enemy team is even or they're pushed up, then you do river gank. And then the last one is the dive. So if your team is at the enemy's tower, right? And the enemy team is like low and you can dive, then you go for a dive. Or the last one is the last one would be like the counter gank, right? So enemy jungler is going in somewhere and you show up in time and you're able to like save the day. So those are like the different types of ganks you can do depending on like the scenario.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And just prefacing this as well, some of these students are, I mean, quite literally joined or started playing League in our program. And even at the beginning of this year, we introduced students in the program because our curriculum is based off of League of Legends, and now we're adding Valorant as well. So they're very, very new. Well, some of them are very, very new, and then some of them like Wilzonium over here also have been playing for a little while. So we have a range of experienced and non-experienced players, and so you'll get a bunch of different questions from just like how to do something, or like what champ do you play? Because a lot of them don't watch streamers.
Yeah.
Or haven't watched streamers in the past, so they might not know who specific people are. If we reference Faker in something, they're like, "Oh, who's Faker?" Right?
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, I don't think personally, no worries.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's definitely a great opportunity because, again, it's more so teaching the soft skills than anything else, right? And I know that you've been, I've known Detention for a very long time, 6-7 years now. I had a lot of interactions with watching you guys when you're duoing together and the communication just between you and your duo. That's something else that I wanted to address. Like, as far as solo queue, because Wilzonium had asked the question about the grind in solo queue, do you recommend duoing with somebody over just that solo grind, and especially if they can match your energy and match your playstyle?
What I would say is you have to keep in mind that at the end of the day, League is a game, right? And you shouldn't just play League to only get better or to only improve, because at the end of the day, it's also about having fun. The way that I have fun personally is because by streaming and by being able to show everybody my level of skill, it's almost like whenever I lock in Hecarim, I'm able to do crazy plays that make people be like, holy shit, like, how's that even possible, So that's kind of like what makes League fun for me, is being able to show off my level of skill. If you have fun in League by playing with your friend, even if he's worse, even if he's better, even if he doesn't, even if like you guys play the same role and you're like role swapping to just play with them. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's a game. And if it's fun for you, do it, right? having a duo, honestly, if you're looking to get into more team environments, could also be good too, because having communications, right? Like, oh, let's say you're the jungler, he's a mid laner, and being like, okay, I need to rotate to this play, right? So you guys are also getting used to voice comms. You guys are also getting used to like making call outs. That stuff is also a very good skill for when you're trying to like translate that to pro play too. So I mean, if you want a duo, you should. If you don't want a duo, you don't have to. But at the end of the day, it's about making the game as fun for you as it can possibly be.
Something enjoyable so you can continue playing it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Students, any other questions?
I feel like he's explained mostly everything.
All right, I'm just trying to absorb as much information as I can. So
download.
So
download process.
We're being told that the game of torture you're supposed to have fun in.
So okay, listen.
Yeah, how is that possible?
Listen, I'll explain. Do you guys want to know the real reason why so many people don't have fun in League? Like, do you want to know the real reason? It's because they focus too much on other people. That's why. They focus too much on what people are going to think about their rank. They focus too much about what their top laner is doing, too much about what their mid laner is doing, and all that kind of stuff. When you have a mindset where you say, I just want to get better, whether I win or lose, it doesn't matter, because if I can find mistakes, I'm getting better, and I just want to play the game to improve, right? That's when you're going to have so much fun playing, because every single game will be a learning experience for you. You have to understand that part of the fun of League comes from learning. It comes from getting better. It comes from delving into deeper concepts and all that kind of stuff, right? So obviously, if you're just too obsessed with the idea of winning, right, and you lose, you're going to be angry, right? But it's not about losing or winning. It's about learning more and by exposing yourself more to the game, right? So if you're not having fun with the game, and if you're like, oh man, like I have to play League, then the reason why is just because you need to shift your mentality. And once you shift your mentality, I guarantee you, you're going to have more fun, you're going to become a better player, and you're just going to enjoy your time overall way more.
I'd just like to say your chat is calling this League school.
Yeah. Pretty much is, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
That's literally exactly what it is.
It is League school. Like, I just find out.
Yeah, so, I mean, if it is it cool if I let your chat know exactly what this is? I mean,
of course.
I know that we did a little. So we are EKUSO, and we are a youth development through esports company that partners with schools. We're currently in 12 different states and 3 countries right now. We have kids from all over that basically log in. And Destruction here is actually in Brazil right now. And we have Powwow Chewy, who's logging in, I think, from Hawaii right now, correct? Maybe not.
Traveling around.
Okay, so traveling around, but mainly in Hawaii, which is where I'm from as well, which is kind of nice. But anyways, we are a youth development through esports company that focuses on teaching kids soft skills through video games. Kids that don't necessarily prefer playing traditional sports, or maybe they do, but they also have a passion for video games.
Yeah.
So we teach those same soft skills through video games, and we integrate it through school. We tailor fit it with every school that we work with. Sometimes the schools want a after school enriched program where we do it after school with the kids, and then some of it is an accredited program in the school where the class is actually credited, and they can earn a credit for their high school degree in that manner. And then we have open gym hours every week as well, and we do scrims that we integrate all of the different teams from the different schools so they can play together, and it's more so a community than anything else, where we definitely emphasize on the teamwork and the camaraderie and the sportsmanship.
I have an idea, by the way. So you know how you said you incentivize like good behavior for your students by offering them like coaching if they do well and stuff?
Yeah.
What you should also do is, let's say they don't do their homework or stuff like that, just sit there and queue up on their account and just run it down. Make them lose game after game after game.
That's a really good
actually good idea.
Log in Ghost Cleanse Nunu and say, yeah, you don't want to do your homework? Well, you're going to lose your account, and then just like run it down mid.
We're going to disco it. We're going to disco it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, and that is so it's not just academic rewards, though. It is also with healthy sleep patterns and nutrition and workouts. I was a personal trainer and nutritionist for 10 years prior to getting my degree in esports management and gaming. So I have a bachelor's degree in esports management, but before that, I was a personal trainer, and so a lot of it is a holistic approach where we want to incentivize having a healthy sleep schedule. So we're partnering with a sleep tracking app that can also track your sleep schedule, and then you can log your food intake and whatnot. So you make sure that you're staying hydrated, you're getting the right nutrition, you're working out, things like that, and that adds to the points that you can redeem for extra coaching. If you like video games, if you like esports, the esports industry is not just specific to playing the game. There's a lot of adjacent career fields that you can do as well.
Actually, I have one more question. How do you deal with low priority queue? Like, how do you not?
I mean, just don't go AFK. I mean, even low priority queue.
I left one game because I had a doctor's appointment, and I get 15 minutes of low priority queue.
Yeah, I mean, what you could do then is you could write like a formal complaint to Riot support and be like, hey guys, I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and I mean, I'm sure that they're gonna be like, oh shit, and they're gonna be like, okay, I mean, you're still gonna have the low priority queue on your account, but like if you don't want low priority queue, don't go AFK. It's like if you don't want to go to jail, don't rob the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you so much for coming in and giving them advice and giving them the rundown of like how you play and why you pick Hecarim and everything else. So, kids, anything else? And if not, we just want to give a big thank you to Dantes.
That is one question.
Yep.
What's the workout plan?
Push-pull legs. Because the cool thing about push-pull legs is that it makes it so you can work out 7 days a week without ever having to take rest days.
What's your bench PR? I'm just wondering.
255 for one. But the thing about me is I don't really train for strength. Like I've been at the same bench PR for 2-3 years now. Because the thing is I just train so that I can be in a good mental for when I start my stream and then I go live, right? So I don't really train for strength. I don't really train to get shredded or anything like that. It's just more so I can be in a good mentality and I can be woken up for my streams.
Yeah, gets the blood pumping, the endorphins going.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, guys, everybody said thank you to Dantes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's really cool to be able to talk to you.
Thank you. Glad you guys enjoyed it.
Oh, actually, Faith wanted to see if we wanted to do some 1v1s and then have Dantes view them as we were going. Is that something that you can do?
I'd be down.
I mean, the only thing is that I only have 10 days left to hit rank 1 Korea. So that's why I was down to do the whole explanations and all that kind of stuff. But just spectate 1v1s, I don't pass on that one.
All right, no, not a problem.
Yeah,
absolutely. We'll get you in another time when you're done with the Korea trip.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Dantes. Thank you so much, man.
Yep. Anyways,
all right, thank you.
So thank you guys for having me, and hope everything goes well.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. Now I can fulfill my purpose as a human being and queue up League for the next fucking 6 hours. It's winner's game.